Alright, today I wanted to take a look at number 26 on page 111. This is one of the applications to linear inequalities where we form the polygonal convex set. And today it looks like Christine's butter cookies sell large tins of cookies and small tins of cookies. The factory can prepare at most 200 tins of cookies each day. So what that's saying is the maximum they can prepare is 200 containers of cookies, some of them being large, some of them being small. Okay, it says each large tin of cookies requires 2 pounds of butter, each small tin requires 1 pound of butter, and the maximum amount of butter they have per day is 300 pounds. It says the profit from each day's cookie production is this equation. Okay, and I'll underline this. Okay. I won't underline this. I'm going to move this around a little bit. So you guys can see down here in the lower left, it's going to be 6x plus 480y. So it looks like she makes $6 for every large tin, 480 for every small tin, where x represents large tin sold and y represents small tin sold. It says find the maximum profit that can be expected in a day. So let's see if we can go ahead and do that. Alright, so I'm going to move this down once again. Okay, now we're going to write. That's okay. Hold on one second. Alright, so what I did here is cleaned up a couple things here. What I did is let x equal large containers of cookies and y equal small containers of cookies. Now to set this up, we're going to of course be using inequalities. So now we know that x plus y is going to be less than or equal to 200. And that basically says we can only make 200 tins or containers per day. The next thing it tells us is that a large tin requires 2 pounds of butter plus a small tin requires 1 pound of butter to make the cookies. That's got to be less than or equal to 300. Alright? And of course we know we're going to make a certain amount of cookies, so x has got to be greater than or equal to 0. And the small tins, we know we're going to make at least 1, it's got to be greater than or equal to 0. So we want to find out right here what combination of small tins, which is y, and large tins or containers, which is x, what combination of those two will produce the maximum amount of profit based on this equation. Of course this is going to be f of x of y. Alright. Of course this is going to equal $6 times x plus 4.8 times y. So if you notice, this is our profit calculation. So for every tin that we sell that's large, we're going to make $6. For every small tin, we're going to make $4.80. We want to find out with these constraints. You know, we only have, we can only make 200 a day, and we only have 300 pounds of butter to deal with. So this is really a nice example of taking these inequalities. We're going to form a system of equations. We're going to form that polygon, the convex polygon that I keep talking about. And then we're going to determine, hey, at what level, you know, how many of these do I need to make and how many of these do I need to make so that this is at a maximum. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at this. I'm going to pause and then clean this up. I'll be right back. Alright, so what I did is made a Cartesian coordinate system here, and this is going to be, of course, our inequalities up here to the left. So let's start with the easy one. If we have x is greater than or equal to 0, we know that we're going to start here in the middle, okay, and we're going to shade everything to the right for greater than. So everything to this area is going to be shaded. Alright, let me change colors here. Let me go with this color. Alright, now y is greater than or equal to 0. So we're going to draw a line here. Alright. So if we look at this, anything up this way is going to be greater than 0. So we know we're going to be somewhere in this area. Okay, so we're going to shade in here. Is everybody okay with that? So we know we're going to make a certain amount of cookies, some of them large, some of them small. The minimum amount we can make is going to be 0. So we're either going to make all large tins or we're going to make all small tins. But either way, we're only going to make 200 tins in a given day. So let me get rid of some of this stuff. Alright, okay. So there's our shading. Let me get rid of this. All right, let me go back to this. All right, so here we go. There's our two inequalities so far. All right, so now let's take a look at this first equation. I'm going to change to a nice green here. All right, if we look at this first equation here, x plus y is less than or greater than, or I'm sorry, less than or equal to 200. All right, if we do a sidebar here and we solve this, this is going to be y is less than or equal to negative x plus 200. Let me see if I can squeeze this in here. All right, so now we know the y-intercept's 200. We're going to just kind of guesstimate on this one. So this is going to be up here at the top. This is going to be 0, 200. Okay, so you can do this on graph paper. And then notice we're going to go down 1, over 1, down 1, over 1. And of course, when we do that, we're going to end up down here. And this is going to be 200, comma 0, and that's going to be our x-intercept. So if we go ahead and connect these two, something like this, we're going to end up shading below because it's less than, so somewhere in this area. You guys can start to see what we're forming here. All right. Okay, so let me get rid of that. Okay, now if we look at this equation, I'm going to bring this one over here. We solve this for y. We get y is less than or equal to negative 2x plus 300. All right. So now when we do that one, I'm going to have to guesstimate again here. This is going to be our y-intercept. Let me change colors here so we can see this. Okay. Now when we do this one, it's going to be 300, which is going to be way up here somewhere. Okay. And then if we do the x-intercept, it's going to be down here about, this will be 150, comma 0. All right, now I'm going to have to guesstimate here a little bit, so it's going to look something like this. Of course, in this point way up top here will be 300. All right. So if you notice, this point down here is 150, comma 0. This point in here is going to be, of course, 0, 0. All right. And of course, this point here, graphically, okay, graphically, that's pretty easy. We want to find out when these two intersect. Okay, these two intersect, and it ends up being 100, comma 100. All right. So now, if you notice, I'm going to shade in here. Let me select this one. If you notice, we're interested in. I like the highlighter better. We're interested in this area in here. All right. So let me go ahead and highlight that. All right, so we're interested in this polygon. Notice that we have created a four-sided polygon, which is, of course, a quadrilateral. Okay? All right, any questions so far? All right, let's just move on. Remember this point way up here. I'm going to highlight this again. I know I ran out of room there. That is going to be 0, comma 300. Okay, and if you look at this equation, all right, the y-intercept's going to end up being 300. All right, so that's our area here. Here's our 4 points. Let me list them here. It's going to be 0, 200. It's going to be 100, 100. It's going to be 0, 0, and it's going to be 150, comma 0. So there's our 4 points. Let me clean this up a little bit. I'll be right back. All right, just to finish up here, we need to evaluate this with all these values. So let's go ahead and do this. So this first one's going to be f of 0, comma 200. This is going to equal, of course, if we plug 0 in here, we get 0 plus. This is going to be 4.8 times 200. Alright, so if I go in here, this is of course going to be 0, and this will be 4.8 times 200, which gives me $960, which is here. So that's one profit. The next one's going to be f of 100. 100. Of course, this will give me, if I plug in here, this is going to give me 600 plus 480, which is going to equal 1080. That's profit number 2. Next one's going to be F of 0, 0. Of course, if I make no large tens and I make no small tens, I make 0 money. That's pretty obvious. Then the last one's going to be if I make 150 large tens and 0 small tens. So this will be 6 times 150 plus, of course this will be 0, equals, and 6 times 150 is going to be $900. Okay, so let me change to my highlighter. Alright, if you notice here, if I make 0 large tens and 200 small tens, I make 960. If I make 100 large tens and 100 small tens, I make 1080. And if I make just if I make 150 large tens, I make $900. So in order for us to maximize our profit, we're going to end up making 100 large tens and 100 small tens for a total of 1080. So it works out that the maximum profit occurs when we make an equal amount of large and small tens. Alright, thanks a lot. If you need to watch this video again, I'll post it on YouTube. And remember, this is number 26 on page 111. Thanks, and have a great day.